I grew up with memes, and in my head, the idea of a meme was always a funny picture with a funny caption. But the actual term meme was first coined by a guy you wouldn't really associate with comedy or the memes as we know it today. Richard Dawkins, who wrote The Selfish Gene, says that memes are pieces of cultural information passed between and within groups. This is the kind of meme that I want to address as I talk about Korean memes specifically. Not to say there aren't funny Korean memes, but the whole thing about memes is that it is in a sense a kind of code, a language that we use to communicate. And the reason the internet is such a perfect platform for memes is because memes can only replicate and evolve within a cultural context that understands what the meme is saying. Its humor, its language, its ideas, etc., etc. Dawkins' original theory is about evolution, and he applies the same idea to memes. He says that if you're in an African savanna, a lion does really well in that environment, but a lion wouldn't do very well in the Arctic. The same way, a Korean meme in its Korean language and addressing Korean pop cultural references will not do very well in countries where Korean is not the main language and Korean culture is not so widespread. But since the rise of K-dramas, K-pop, whatever you want to call it, the K-wave, Korean things in general have been on the spread, on the rise. I think it's interesting to compare and see what kind of memes exist on Korean social media. I'm going to specifically refer to memes that I've been targeted with on Instagram, but I do see a general trend in terms of the kinds of memes that I see now that I am getting a lot more Korean content on my feed. I like to think of this as insider information in the way that any world of popular memes will be a sort of insider's clues as to the overall cultural context of that community. And they're only memes that someone like me will get, someone who is in Korea, someone who speaks Korean. And so it's very difficult for others to access these memes. But without further ado, and at first I was like, do I even classify these as memes? Are these just different kinds of content? What really classifies as a meme anyways? By giving this definition, I do feel like any sort of cultural information represented, whether through graphics or words, can be considered a meme. I'm saying that because I want to talk about these specific things, but I genuinely feel like meme is the most appropriate answer. Similarly to the Korean aesthetic fashion video, I have categorized these memes into what I feel are the most common types of memes out there, or at least the ones that stream into my little algorithmic world. The first kind are infographics. Now, there are all kinds of infographics out there. In Korean social media, a lot of the memes you see will be carousels, not necessarily just a single picture. One example I get all the time is the MBTI, or the Myers-Briggs type type indicator, a personality type assessment that is very popular in Korea right now. This one, for example, tells a difference between specific MBTI qualities that might be a little confusing or like misunderstood MBTI qualities. I's, or introverts, and E's, extroverts, are not necessarily a matter of difference between loud, energetic, and super quiet. It's more about, where we get our energy from, which I already knew, but for people who don't know the MBTI as well, this could be pretty helpful. Now, this one, I don't really know if I should consider this an infographic or a comedic meme or a bit of both, but this one is about these photo booth photos that are really popular in Korea right now. So I tried taking one with my friends. It is actually really hard to think of poses on the spot. We're like photo booth amateurs. This meme, it's basically like giving you advice on how to take these photos, and it's saying the satisfaction rate is like 120% because they only give you 4 photos in the end, but they let you do like 10 takes. So you have to come up with 10 different poses when you're only going to choose 4 of them. It's like, I don't know what to do. So we were struggling for a long time there. Now, this one is for cocktail drinks. If it's your first time at a cocktail bar, don't panic. And so these are like all the combinations of basic cocktails. Pina colada, if you like sweet stuff. If you want something that has a lot of volume, Long Island. If you want to stay drunk for a really long time, this is the rusty nail. And then it has a fun fact about the screwdriver. It says that it's like potent for women because it's called the screwdriver because the next morning it feels like a screw is literally driving into your brain. I've not tried a screwdriver yet. That doesn't really make me inclined to it. And then of course it tells you the number of calories in each drink. Diet infographics are also very popular. I don't ever remember actually like looking for diet stuff like this one where it says you can lose up to 9 kilograms by eating kimbap. I don't really know how. And it says you don't have to exercise, but you should drink 2 to 3 liters of water. And it says to eat 5 kimbaps in the morning and then 5 in the evening. I don't think it means 5 rows. I think it means 5 pieces, which is like very tiny. I could eat a whole row of kimbap for one sitting, so. And the next kind of memes, which I really enjoy, are stories. Now, these are generally like funny stories, but other times they can be kind of weird reviews or just like people getting pissed off. There's always like a title of the story on the first page to kind of like hook you in. I'm gonna read this one because it's really short. So it says this employee was told to get a COVID test after their vacation before coming back to work, and says he literally only got the test. So they're all having lunch and everything and they're drinking coffee, and then the employee gets a text and he reads it and he's like, oh, I tested negative. And then everyone just looks at him. It's like, so you only took the test? You didn't actually wait for the test result? I'm not very good at like explaining funny things or like retelling funny stories. So this is not going to be very funny to you when you just hear it from me. Okay. This one I really like. So the title says, an uncle's confusion at the father's funeral. While I was having my dad's funeral, I could never forget my uncle's words to me as I looked so sad and depressed. And his uncle is his dad's twin. He said they were looking at the photo of the dad and his uncle said, that's my photo. And in the end it says, I don't know if I should cry or laugh. See, it's like, it's not really that funny if I say it back to you. It's not that funny if you don't hear it in Korean and if you don't understand it. Or maybe I'm just bad at explaining things. Either way, like, it's just, I think the point of a meme is that you can't explain it in any other way than just in the way that it was already explained. Like, it has to be exactly replicated or else something's gonna go south. This one so this is not really a story. This is kind of more a case of a photo. This is a lot more similar to what you would typically see in an English meme. So Ma Dong-seok, who was in Eternals as well as a recently popular Korean movie, his arm is bigger than a large popcorn. And then you just see this photo. And this is a really popular meme right now because Ma Dong-seok is really popular. The movie is really popular. I just think like he looks so cute. Like, he doesn't look scary at all. Maybe it's because I haven't watched enough of his movies. The next one is one of my favorites, very catered to me. They are the lists or reviews, and generally they're in photo form, but sometimes they'll have like short little captions. And most of these are specifically food reviews. There's a word called 맛집. 맛집 literally means a house that is yummy. Any sort of restaurants, cafes that are like must-goes. It's basically like Instagram version of Yelp reviews, and they're like all of these lists. 맛집 cafes, I want to go with you in Anguk. Top cafes in Seongsu or Seoul Forest. Food 맛집 lists in Gyeongju, blah blah blah. And it's not necessarily just for food. They also have tourist spots like top 10 places to go in Seoul, top 10 things to try in Jeju, popular art galleries or exhibitions that are around. Basically anything that's trending or popular amongst like young Koreans, you'll find it on social media somewhere. These personally I collect a lot of just because I always want to try new places. The ironic thing is that I probably wouldn't have this many places to try if I didn't have all these popping up on my feeds. And this last one, I didn't actually realize what it was until I reached the end of a carousel. And these are book advice columns. You don't actually know that this advice is from a book until you get to the end. It'll have a hook question or a phrase, and you'll just end up going through what you think is a list of life advice or wisdom. But then at the end, you realize it actually comes from a book. I don't know if this is a way to like promote or if people just really liked the stuff that they find in these books. What I feel like all of these sort of tell you is how easily accessible popular or trending things are in Korea, which I think is sort of a cycle. I think it all influences how these things become popular in the first place so quickly, and they sort of stay popular or stay trending because it just goes around and around. Oh, you see this on Instagram and then you try it and you leave a review or you post a photo and then other people see it, and so on and so on. Which, now that I think about it, is not just a unique to Korean thing, but honestly, like, since I've been in Korea, I've just seen so many of these very organized and detailed reviews, lists, tips, and tricks. So you can see not only what's important to me, but also important within Korean society, culture itself. Now, I'm sure this is more for my demographic specifically. So these are the kind of memes that I see on my Instagram. I don't know about y'all, but when information is so easy to find, or when it's just kind of plopped onto you, it's very hard to stay away from them and to just forget about the world that's out there. These things keep me excited about being here. Oh, I want to go out here and do this or try this. It also makes me spend a lot of money. So it is a double-edged sword. And the longer I live here, the excitement will die about popular things. But at the same time, now that it knows I live here and I speak Korean, there's a lot of stuff they can target me with. Anyways, that's my spiel for today. I'll see you guys in my next video. you.